Today's video is about using outside sources according to MLA style. So I'm going to talk about summarizing and paraphrasing a little bit, but mostly about attribution and citing. So I've talked a lot about how writing and the rules for writing are a lot more fluid than we may think. But when it comes to citation, there are actually very specific rules. They do change quite a bit, quite frequently. I would say maybe every 2 to 3 years they change citation rules. But there are still rules to follow, so you need to look them up. And not following the rules properly and not citing your sources properly is plagiarism, so it's really important to do. The first thing you want to do, of course, is figure out which citation style, which format you need to follow. In this course, for 101, we'll be using MLA the whole time. APA is used for psychology and the social sciences, so if you're watching this for my 201 class, then this would be something we'll also do. So Chicago is used for history, IEEE is for technical writing, and there are several more. There are a lot of different styles, so you need to know your discipline and need to know what kind of citation style they use in your discipline, because they're all different. So the first thing you want to do when you are going to write a paper and work with outside sources is to create your works cited page. And even though that comes last on your paper, that's the first thing you want to do is create that works cited page. So for MLA, it's called a works cited page. It's not called a references page or a bibliography. It's called a works cited page, as you can see right here. The purpose for a works cited page is just to provide your readers with the ability to find the source that you use. So it's really important that you are able to create this for your readers, but you need to make sure you actually follow a format. A lot of students are tempted to just make it up. So they just write the author's name and the title and where they got it from, and they make up a style. You need to follow a specific format, a specific citation style, and in this class that would be, or for 101, that would be MLA. You can use online machines like NightCite or I can't remember the names of all of them, but you can use those if you want. You can also use the Word function that's built into Microsoft Word, but they will always be incorrect in some way. They're never right. They don't keep them updated. So they you need to double check with the actual MLA website or a very recent book. But I'm going to go over with you how to do MLA, so you can always just check with this. But there's a link there for that as well. So let's take a closer look at the works cited page here. First, notice this works cited goes at the top of the page. There's no underline, bold, it's not all caps. It just says works cited, and it is centered on the page. And then the sources, each entry, these should be in alphabetical order. So B, C, D, H, M. These should be alphabetized. Notice the hanging indent. The first line is on your left margin, and for that, for the rest of that entry, it's tabbed in 1. It's called hanging indent. You can do that 2 ways. One is by clicking on paragraph up at the top in your home bar. Click on paragraph, and then under special, choose hanging indent. Or you can turn your ruler on in Microsoft Office. Turn on your ruler and move the bottom part out to a ½ inch. So there's a couple of ways to do a hanging indent, but you need to have a hanging indent. That way this entry is what is the easiest to see. And then notice the whole page is double spaced. There's not an extra space between entries. This isn't single spaced, the whole page. So once you get it all done, just highlight it and double space it. And that's what a works cited page should look like, is this one right here. So the entries. The entries really are not that complicated. They've changed this to make it pretty simple. So it does not matter what kind of source you have. In this order right here, on the left, is the order that you put your information in. So first you have the author, last name, comma, first name. If there's no last or first name, it's just one name, then you put one word. Then the title of the source, and that goes in quotation marks. And then the title of the container. So the container is like a website or a book that the article is in. So that is the where you found it. And then other contributors in this case is like Hearst Communications, or no, that's the publisher. Other contributors, here we go. Edited by Robert Newman et al. So this is other contributors. And then the version and number, if they have one, like Volume 1, Issue 10. And then the publisher. So the publisher here is Hearst Communications. Here the publisher is Longman. And then the publication date. Here there's only a year. Here we have both the year and the day. Notice the day goes first, then the month is abbreviated with 3 letters and a period, and the year, followed by a comma, and then the location. So in this case it's a URL, and in this case it's the page numbers. PP is for pages. If it's just one page, it's P. So whatever kind of source you have, this is what you follow. You author, title of source, so it would be a really good idea to find this list and just keep it next to you all the time. So then when it comes to, once you've got your works cited page made, so imagine this is your works cited page, and it comes to putting your citations in the text as you write, then it's actually really incredibly simple. It's the first word from your works cited page and the page number. So this word right here is what goes in your citation. It is never the URL. It is never the website. It is never the editor. It's always this first word. Think about how simple this is. Once you've created your works cited page, the idea of the in-text citation is to lead your readers to this page, and it's alphabetized, and they're going to find the source by the first word on this page. That you don't want them to be digging through here to find SF Gate or City Journal, right? This is what they'll be able to find. So that is what goes in your citation. So let's do a sample here. Let's say I've written a sentence and it's written by Kuntz. So I would have my text, quotation marks, then I'd put a parentheses, the word Kuntz, and the page number, and page 146, and then a period. Now notice that the text goes here, there's no punctuation here, there's no punctuation here, the period goes at the end of the sentence. Let's say I'm doing this one. Notice there's no author for this one. If there's no author, you skip it. You skip whatever is in that list that you're not going to, that you don't have. You just skip it. So if there's no author, you skip the author. So I still want to use the first word here. So let's say I'm going to cite this second source. I would have my quote. Oops, I don't know why it's doing that. And then instead of putting a word, a name, I'm going to put development. And a page number. There are no page numbers here. So then I just put development. Notice that I still use these quotation marks. Okay? Because it's in quotation marks here. So if it's in quotation marks here, you put the quotation marks here as well. That's it. So you have your text, always text, quotation mark, parenthesis, first word, page number, parenthesis, period. And that is all you do for in-text citation. So paraphrasing. The definition of paraphrasing is expressing the meaning using different words. This is usually done when you're writing a summary or to make something more clear, because maybe the way the person put it is difficult to understand. But because paraphrases are still the author's ideas, you still have to provide a citation for where the information came from. Not to do so is plagiarism. So if you look at this example here, we have in a poll held by Univision, so we have some attribution there, and then at the end of the paraphrase we have the author's name and the page number. Okay, it's important that you provide a citation for even a paraphrase. You absolutely have to do that. Okay. So I used the word attribution in the previous slide, and the idea is that any idea that comes from a source has to be attributed to that source. It needs to be clear to your reader what ideas came from your source and what ideas are your own. And to not do that is to plagiarize, is to steal ideas. It's the same way you steal words. So when you summarize, you have to make sure every sentence has some sort of attribution. So let's look at this paragraph we have here. Everyone has flaws that they don't like about themselves, that they have to deal with negativity every day. Okay, so this is her introductory sentence. Angelin, who is the author she's using, says the many reasons we should change the conversation of fat talk is because it will not only make you feel worse about yourself, but it also drags other people down with you. This is attribution. She's still talking about this same source. She's summarizing, so she doesn't need a citation. She just needs to provide an attribution. If you have very specific details, like in the previous slide with the data, then you need a citation. But this is just an idea that came from Angelin. But then look at this next sentence. Shaming of the body has become practically a ritual of womanhood and is far from harmless social bonding. This sentence has no attribution. This did come from this source, but it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like this is her idea, but it's not. So this also needs, she also says that shaming of the body has become practically a ritual of womanhood. Angelin also points out that, see, there's some more attribution, which is good. But then here again we have the feeling fat status update started a huge controversy. This is also missing attribution. So then you need that again. Angelin, I think I spelled that wrong, talks about every sentence. This kind of language needs to be in every sentence. This is called attribution. So you either need a citation at the end of your sentence, or you need attribution in the sentence that makes it clear where your information came from. So when in doubt, if you're not sure, just cite it. No one is ever, well, seldom will anyone ever tell you that you're citing too much. Okay, so if you got the idea from a source, provide a citation. Put the author's name in there. Very seldom are you going to be overdoing it. I don't know about that bacon sandwich because that is kind of overdoing bacon, but overall, if you're not sure, I would just say cite it. And that's all I have.